Hurricane Helene rapidly strengthened into a Category 4 hurricane over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico on Thursday and was barreling toward land late Thursday southeast of Tallahassee. The massive storm is expected to bring an unprecedented storm surge of 15 to 20 feet to Florida's Big Bend region and strong winds across the state. The storm is expected to make landfall with strong wind gusts possible in northern Georgia, including Atlanta. The National Weather Service called the maximum storm surge forecast for Florida's Big Bend region catastrophic and unmitigated. Storm surge has already begun along the state's west coast. Flooding rains are already battering the southern Appalachians, with totals of about 15 inches expected in western North Carolina. That much rain could cause historic landslides and major flooding. Tampa Bay is forecast to experience one of the most powerful storm surge events ever recorded, with waves as high as 8 feet. The metro Atlanta area is facing one of the most significant encounters with a tropical storm or hurricane ever recorded, with hurricane-force winds anticipated. The high winds will cause widespread tree damage, though the exact path of the storm's core will help determine its full impact until Friday. As of 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the storm had strengthened to a Category 4. It is expected to hit Florida's Big Bend coast tonight as the strongest hurricane ever recorded there. The National Hurricane Center said the storm size is at the high end of all hurricane sizes observed in the Gulf of Mexico. As of 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the center of the storm was about 80 miles southwest of Cedar Key, Florida, and moving north-northeast at 23 miles per hour. It was packing sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. The NHC expects the storm to strengthen before it makes landfall. As of 8 p.m. Eastern Time, nearly 384,000 customers were without power in Florida, and outages were spreading northward. Helene's expansive wind field is powering a potentially deadly storm surge. The storm built its strongest winds and intensified rapidly during the day Thursday, the NHC said, a trend that is expected to continue toward land. With tropical storm and hurricane warnings in effect for more than 3 states, more than 1 million people could be without power by Saturday. The NWS Weather Office in Greenville-Spartanburg, SC, issued a dire statement Thursday afternoon warning of historic flooding threatening western North Carolina, including Asheville. This will be one of the most significant weather events to occur in the western part of the state in modern times. Record-breaking flooding is expected and has been compared to the 1916 flood in the Asheville area, the NWS said. Zoom in many major cities, including Tallahassee, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Atlanta, are likely to experience high and damaging winds from the storm. Tallahassee could be the most destructive hurricane on record due to its extremely high winds, depending on its landfall location and track. The storm will move at an extremely high rate of speed as it makes landfall, as it loops around a weather system in the southeast. It will carry the threat of significant damage, including widespread power outages, as far inland as nearly all of Georgia and much of South Carolina. The NWS warns that power outages are likely to be prolonged and widespread. Hurricane Helene is expected to have significant social impacts, especially on vulnerable communities. Many residents in affected areas have been evacuated, with local authorities setting up evacuation centers and providing emergency assistance. These evacuations are essential to ensure safety, given the risk of flooding and infrastructure damage. In addition, widespread power outages could impact access to health care, education, and other basic needs. Communities are also likely to experience profound emotional impacts due to loss of property and fears for safety. Recovery efforts are expected to begin immediately after the storm passes, with a focus on providing assistance and psychological support to those affected. Once the storm has passed, the focus will shift to long-term recovery. Emergency response teams will work to clear debris and repair damaged infrastructure, including roads and bridges. Emergency health services will also be strengthened to address potential health issues resulting from post-storm conditions. Communities are expected to come together to support each other, with non-governmental organizations and volunteers playing a key role in distributing aid and resources. In addition, the government will evaluate the response to this storm to improve disaster mitigation strategies in the future, ensuring communities are better prepared for similar disasters. Local governments will also conduct damage assessments to determine immediate needs for assistance. This includes providing financial support to displaced families and damaged businesses. Disaster relief programs will be introduced, offering grants and loans to help with economic recovery. Communities will also be encouraged to report damage through an online platform, making the data collection process easier. One of the major challenges in the aftermath of the storm is ensuring access to clean water and food. Many areas may experience supply disruptions that will impact public health. Emergency response teams will coordinate with humanitarian organizations to distribute food and water, as well as set up community kitchens for those who have been displaced. Food safety and sanitation will be a priority to prevent disease outbreaks. Social activities such as community meetings will also be held to provide a space for residents to share their experiences and concerns. This can help reduce feelings of isolation and trauma after a disaster. Psychological support programs will be implemented to help individuals and families cope with the emotional impact of the storm. Psychologists and counselors will be available at evacuation centers and communities. Education will also be affected, with schools likely to close for periods of time. Local governments will work to ensure students can continue their learning, either through online classes or by providing alternative learning spaces. Educational recovery programs will be developed to support students who have lost learning time, especially those who are most vulnerable. Finally, it is important for communities to learn from this experience. Discussions on disaster preparedness and risk mitigation will become increasingly urgent. Local governments and organizations will work to organize seminars and trainings to raise awareness on future disaster prevention and evacuation measures. This aims to create greater resilience for communities in the face of disasters in the years to come.